the Silent Watcher's Supreme Chancellor Crix had ruled the Zilani Empire for over 3 centuries. His crystalline exoskeleton bore the scars of 1,000 battles, each mark telling the story of another world brought under Zilani control. The empire stretched across 47 star systems, and today he planned to make it 40-8. The bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, hummed with activity. Officers moved between holographic displays showing star charts, weapon systems, and tactical formations. The familiar routine of conquest had begun once again. War Commander Vec approached the Chancellor's throne, his 4 arms carrying data. Tablets, the younger Zilana's carapace gleamed with the polish of recent promotion earned through the successful annexation of the Korath system. Chancellor, the target system shows all expected signs of a developing civilization, Vec reported, his voice carrying the confidence of previous victories. Radio transmissions, basic space travel, nuclear technology. Our scouts estimate they achieved faster-than-light communication only recently. Crix's compound eyes examined the data with practiced efficiency. Electromagnetic signatures suggested a species barely beyond their home planet. Chemical rocket propulsion, primitive nuclear fission, all the hallmarks of what the Zilani classified as a Level 2 civilization. Resistance projections, Crix asked, though he already knew the answer. Minimal. Sir, their most advanced military technology appears to be chemical explosives and basic energy weapons. Standard protocols should suffice. The Chancellor's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Standard protocol meant a show of force, followed by demands. For submission, concluded with rapid integration into the Empire. Simple, efficient, profitable. Deploy Fleet Formation 7, Crix commanded. 12 heavy cruisers should be more than adequate. The Eternal Dominion led the formation as it dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. Around them, the vacuum of space sparkled with the running lights of 11 other massive vessels, each one capable of reducing a continent to ash. Sir, called the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the 3rd planet, already. Vec's surprise was evident. Most primitive species required several minutes to even detect their arrival. On speakers, Crix ordered. A human voice crackled across the bridge, speaking in clear galactic standard. Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Marcus Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Coalition. You have entered restricted space without authorization. State your intentions immediately. The bridge fell silent. In 3 centuries of conquest, Crix had never heard a primitive species speak with such authority. Restricted space. Vec laughed, his carapace rattling. Do they think their planet belongs to them? Open a channel, Crix commanded, rising. From his throne, primitive beings, you will submit to the authority of the Zilani Empire. We have come to offer you membership in our Galactic Confederation. Refuse and face the consequences. The response came immediately. Chancellor Crix, we know who you are. We know what you've done to the other 47 systems. Our answer is no. The words hit the bridge like a physical blow. They knew his name. They knew about the other systems. How was that possible? Sir, the sensor operator called, his voice shaking. I'm detecting massive energy readings from the inner system. Details, Crix snapped. Multiple contacts, sir. They're big. Bigger than anything in our databases. On the main display, contacts began appearing. Not the small, crude vessels they had expected, but massive signatures that dwarfed even the Eternal Dominion. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Endeavor's Promise, came another human voice. We're going to give you one demonstration of why you should reconsider your approach. Space in front of the Zalani fleet began to shimmer. Reality twisted like heated glass as something enormous began to materialize. The ship that emerged was impossibly vast, its hull gleaming with an inner light that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around it. The Endeavor's promise was easily 3 times the size of the Eternal Dominion, but size wasn't what made every Zalani on the bridge step back in horror. The ship's hull appeared to be constructed from materials that shouldn't exist. Energy readings showed power levels that defied physics, weapon systems that registered as theoretical impossibilities. Tactical analysis, Crix whispered, his tactical officer's hands shook as she worked her console. Sir, that ship contains enough firepower to sterilize our entire fleet. The power core readings suggest they've somehow contained a stellar-class fusion reaction. And the weapons, by the ancestors, those aren't just guns. They're reality manipulators. Captain Chen's voice continued calmly. This is our diplomatic vessel, Chancellor Crix. We use it for peaceful first contact missions. Would you like to see our actual warships? The bridge erupted in panicked chatter. A diplomatic vessel. This monster that could destroy their entire fleet was what humans used for peaceful meetings. Sir, the communications officer reported, voice barely above a whisper. I'm detecting 17 more signatures of similar size throughout the system. Crix felt his confidence crumble. 17 more ships like this one. The humans hadn't just developed beyond level 2 civilization. They had somehow leaped directly to technologies the Zalani Empire could barely comprehend. How? War Commander Thek asked, speaking the question that filled every mind on the bridge. We've been watching you for quite some time, Admiral Rodriguez explained, as if he had heard the question across space. When we detected your expansion pattern 50 years ago, we decided it would be wise to prepare. 50 years. The humans had known about the Zalani Empire for half a century, and had spent that time building defenses that made their fleet look like children's toys. Your radio transmissions, Crix said slowly. You made yourselves appear primitive. We learned early that the universe can be a dangerous place, Captain Chen replied. We found it useful to let potential threats underestimate us while we prepared for the day they might come calling. The implications crashed over Crix like a tidal wave. The humans had been watching, learning, preparing. Every piece of intelligence his scouts had gathered had been carefully crafted deception. But your technology, Thek protested. The transmissions showed chemical propulsion, nuclear fission. We still use those things, Admiral Rodriguez confirmed. They're reliable, cost-effective, and they don't reveal our true capabilities to anyone who might be listening. A new contact appeared on the sensors, smaller than the warships, but moving with impossible speed. It approached the Zalani fleet with casual confidence. This is Dr. Alina Vasquez of the Earth's Diplomatic Corps, came a new voice. I'm requesting permission to come aboard your flagship, Chancellor Crix. I believe we have much to discuss. Crix looked round his bridge at officers who had conquered star systems, now cowering before a single human ship. His centuries of experience told him to fight, to rage against this impossible reversal of fortune. His survival instincts told him to listen. Permission granted, he said finally. The human shuttle docked with precision that spoke of advanced navigation systems. Dr. Vasquez entered the bridge, accompanied by 2 guards in armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. She was smaller than any Zalani, but she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who held all the advantages. Her eyes surveyed the bridge with curious intelligence. "Chancellor Crix," she said, offering a formal bow. "It's an honor to meet such a renowned military leader." "You planned this," Crix said. "It wasn't a question. We planned for this possibility," Dr. Vasquez confirmed. "We hoped it wouldn't be necessary, but hope isn't a strategy." She gestured to a holographic display that materialized between them. It showed the Zilani Empire's expansion pattern, complete, with detailed analysis of their military tactics, technological capabilities, and political structure. "We've been studying you for decades," she continued. "We know about your conquest of the Meridian Collective, the annexation of the Outer Rim territories, the forced integration of 47 civilizations, and yet you reveal yourselves now," Crix observed. "Why?" Dr. Vasquez smiled, and there was something unsettling about the expression. "Because we've decided it's time for the Zilani Empire to learn that some species bite back." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Around them, the bridge crew watched with the fascination of prey animals, observing apex predators. "Your fleet is impressive," Dr. Vasquez continued, "but it represents outdated thinking. You rely on intimidation, overwhelming force, and the assumption that primitive species will submit rather than fight." She gestured again, and the display showed tactical simulations. In each one, human forces completely outmaneuvered and outgunned Zilani fleets. "We've run every possible scenario," she explained. "In a direct confrontation, we would win. Decisively, your empire would fall within 6 months." The casual certainty in her voice was more terrifying than any threat. "But," she continued, "we're not interested in conquest. We're interested in change." Asterisk, the price of underestimation. The word change echoed through the bridge like a bell tolling. Chancellor Crix had built his empire on the assumption that bigger, stronger, and more ruthless always won. The humans were forcing him to reconsider 3 centuries of successful strategy. "What kind of change?" he asked carefully. Dr. Vasquez waved her hand, and the holographic display shifted to show trade routes, resource exchanges, and collaborative research projects. The kind where civilizations grow stronger together instead of one growing stronger by consuming others. War Commander Vec stepped forward, his carapace bristling with indignation. "You expect us to abandon everything we've built, to give up our empire? We expect you to evolve it," Dr. Vasquez replied calmly. "Your empire succeeded because you were stronger than everyone you encountered. But strength without growth leads to stagnation." She gestured to another display showing comparative technological development. The Zilani Empire's progress had been steady for centuries but had plateaued over the last 50 years. "You've conquered 47 systems," she continued, "but your technology has barely advanced since System 20. Why? Because conquest gives you resources and subjects, but it doesn't give you innovation." Engineering Chief Zara, who had remained silent throughout the exchange, suddenly spoke up. "The humans' technology," she said, her voice filled with scientific curiosity. "How did you advance so rapidly?" Dr. Vasquez smiled, and this time the expression seemed genuinely warm. "Necessity, cooperation, and a healthy dose of paranoia." The display changed again, showing Earth's history over the past 50 years. Cities that had been rebuilt with impossible architecture, research facilities that seemed to defy conventional engineering, space elevators that stretched beyond the atmosphere when we realized we weren't alone in the universe. Dr. Vasquez explained, "We faced a choice. We could hide and hope we'd never be found, or we could prepare for the day someone came looking. But the resources required," Zara protested. The coordination, the unified effort across an entire species. That's what happens when survival is at stake, came a new voice. President Liu Wei materialized as a hologram, broadcasting from Earth. When we learned about the Zilani Empire's expansion pattern, our entire species united around a single goal. Never again would we be helpless. Crix studied the human leader with the eye of someone who had negotiated with thousands of planetary governors. There was no deception in her manner, no hidden agenda, just the quiet confidence of someone who held absolute advantages. Your offer, he said finally. What exactly are you proposing? A partnership, President Liu replied. The Zilani Empire has logistical expertise, administrative experience, a knowledge of 47 different civilizations. Earth has advanced technology, innovative research methods, and a very strong motivation to see the galaxy become a more cooperative place. Fleet Admiral Corinth, the most experienced military commander in the Zilani fleet, had been studying the human ships through the viewport. His ancient eyes, scarred from battles across 3 centuries, held a new expression: respect. The tactical implications alone, he murmured. If we could learn their defensive technologies, adapt their power systems, ... You can, Dr. Vasquez. Confirmed, but not through conquest, through cooperation. She gestured once more, and the display showed a vision of the future. Zilani administrative skills, organizing human innovation, joint research facilities developing technologies neither species could achieve alone, trade networks that enriched entire sectors instead of draining them. The 47 systems you've conquered, President Liu continued, many of them still resist your rule. They see the Zilani Empire as oppressors, conquerors who took their freedom. Because that's what we are, Crix said bluntly. But you don't have to remain that way, Dr. Vasquez replied. Imagine if instead of ruling through fear, you led through strength. Instead of taking resources, you helped develop them instead. Of suppressing local cultures, you celebrated diversity. War Commander Vex mandibles clicked in frustration. You're asking us to abandon everything that made us successful. We're asking you to build on what made you successful, President Liu corrected. Your empire succeeded because you were organized, efficient, and adaptable. Those are valuable traits, but they don't require repression. The bridge fell silent as the Zilani officers processed this radical concept. For centuries, power had meant dominance. Strength had meant the ability to impose will through force. The humans were suggesting an entirely different paradigm. Engineering Chief Zara was the first to speak. The research possibilities, she said, her voice filled with scientific hunger. 47 different species, each with unique perspectives on physics, chemistry, biology, and human innovation methods applied to that diversity. The administrative challenges alone would be fascinating, admitted Fleet Admiral Corinth. Coordinating development across dozens of systems, managing resources for growth instead of extraction. Chancellor Crix felt the weight of decision pressing down on him. 3 centuries of successful conquest had taught him to trust his instincts. Those same instincts now told him that the humans represented something entirely new in his experience. You're not afraid of us, he observed. Should we be? Dr. Vasquez asked in return. Every species we've encountered has shown fear when facing our fleet. Every species you've encountered was weaker than you, President Liu pointed out. We're not. The simple statement carried profound implications. For the first time in his long life, Crix was dealing with a species that could match the Zilani Empire's strength. More than match it, if their demonstrations were any indication. "Your fleet," he said to Dr. Vasquez. "How many ships do you actually have?" She smiled. "Enough. That's not an answer." "It's the only answer that matters," she replied. "We have enough ships to defend ourselves, enough technology to make conquest costly, and enough determination to ensure our independence." Captain Chen's voice crackled over the communications system. "Chancellor, we're receiving priority transmissions from several of your systems. It appears word of our encounter has spread." The main display showed incoming messages from across the Zalani Empire. Planetary governors, system administrators, even some military commanders, all asking the same questions. Who were these humans? What did they want? Was the Empire at war? "Your Empire is watching," President Liu observed. "They're waiting too. See how their Chancellor handles a challenge unlike any he's faced before." Crix realized the truth of her words. This moment would define not just his own legacy, but the future of every Zalani citizen across 47 systems. "If we agree to this partnership," he said slowly, "what guarantees do we have? What prevents you from simply conquering us once we've lowered our defenses?" Dr. Vasquez gestured to the viewport, where the massive human ships maintained their positions with casual confidence. "Chancellor," she said gently, "if we wanted to conquer you, would we be having this conversation?" The logic was inescapable. The humans had demonstrated overwhelming superiority. They could have simply demanded surrender. Instead, they offered cooperation. "We believe," President Liu added, "that the universe is big enough for multiple strong civilizations. We're not interested in ruling the galaxy. We're interested in making sure the galaxy doesn't need rulers." Fleet Admiral Corinth stepped forward, his ancient carapace gleaming under the bridge lights. "Chancellor, in all my years of service, I've never encountered an opponent who offered victory through surrender. Perhaps it's time to consider victory through alliance." The wisdom in those words resonated through the bridge. Around him saw his officers nodding in agreement. Even War Commander Thek, initially resistant to the human proposals, seemed to be reconsidering his position. "Very well," Chancellor Crix said finally. "We will hear your full proposal." Dr. Vasquez bowed. "Formally, then let's begin with the first step, turning your empire into a confederation, where every system has a voice in its own future." As she spoke, Crix felt the weight of history shifting around him. 3 centuries of conquest were about to transform into something entirely new. For the first time in his long life, he found himself looking forward to uncertainty. The age of Zalani dominance was ending. The age of cooperation was about to begin.